So the time has finally come, ladies and gentlemen. Here are our first impressions of the Miami circuit in F1 22. Enjoy. So, new tracks are not easy to create, but Codemasters had a lot of practice now after creating Portimao, Imola and Jeddah for F1 2021. Those tracks were praised for their feel and presentation, so when Miami was confirmed for the 2022 Formula 1 season, there were high expectations for Codemasters. Fans will be happy to learn that they won't have to wait for the Miami Grand Prix. It will be part of F1 22 on launch, and we have been lucky enough to pound around the new circuit in a preview build of F1 22. So what are our first impressions? Well, as expected, the Miami Grand Prix in F1 22 looks the part. Codemasters has created a living, breathing track and surrounding. From the Hard Rock Stadium to the marina and even the grandstands, the Miami track feels exactly as it should. Building a track that doesn't yet exist is probably the hardest thing to do in racing games, but Codemasters is well versed in these challenges now. After Vietnam in F1 2020 and Jeddah in last year's F1 2021, this is the third time in 3 years they have built a track before it is completed and raced on. We obviously need to start a long way out to build a circuit, even more so when that circuit is in a relatively built up location, said Senior Creative Director Lee Mather when we spoke with him about the challenges the circuit presents. We did what we normally do with a street circuit, which is get as much reference photography and top-down views of the area, and we start to plot out where we expect the route to be. We know a significant amount of it, but obviously they, that being the F1 and race officials, were still fine-tuning other areas. The biggest challenge really, once we've got the route itself, is to understand any undulations and height changes in the area. We had an original assumption that it would be relatively flat because of the location, but there is actually a lot more than you would expect. While Codemasters had the initial plans for the circuit to go from, the rest of the Grand Prix experience is somewhat unknown. The big one will obviously be grandstand placement and things like that, because they don't exist yet. So that goes very much off an idea of, this is what the plan is for the circuit, this is where the grandstands should be, and this is where the buildings will be, the hoardings, the sponsors, and so on. So until we see that in real life, we won't know how close we are to the original plan, because as is often the case, not everything goes smoothly for everybody, Lee Mathers finished. So how does it drive? Learning a new circuit while also driving brand new F1 cars is certainly a challenge. We'll get onto the cars later, but the track has a feel of the Vietnam final sector or Silverstone's Maggotts Beckett's, with plenty of sweeping curves that feel like they could be flat out with the right setup, but definitely won't be. The first sector sees you dive right from the start straight and sweep through corners until you get to a tricky long and tightening left-hander. Think China's 270-degree right-handers, just not quite that tight. From there it's a flat-out blast before a slow, technical sector that feels like a Monaco-Singapore crossover. The slow corners are painful in the new cars, especially as the ideal setup for Miami seems to be relatively low downforce. You twist your way under overpasses and through an awkward chicane, only to be spat out at the main straight, which is a good DRS overtaking spot if you've got a tyre advantage. Then it's just a hairpin and a few sweeps before you are back at the start-finish line. We'll let you have a look round a full lap of the track right now. Miami feels fun to drive, but I don't think it will join the likes of COTA or Baku as a modern classic for F1. The first and third sectors are trying, but fun. It's just that middle, slow speed sector that really throws off the rhythm. The F122 cars have a lot more weight and inertia to them, making it a real challenge to muscle them through without the rear of the car getting out of line. Overall though, Miami is a great track. While we got to race on it through a preview build, we are already looking forward to getting grips with it fully when F122 releases on 1st of July. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, our first look at Miami in F122, as well as the first look at F122 itself. What did you make of the circuit? Do you think you're going to enjoy racing there? Let us know down in the comments below, and we'll catch you here for another video soon on the Racing Games channel.
Okay, gap to the car ahead is 2.6 seconds. Race over, take care of the car on the way in.
Here we are then, a phenomenal Miami Grand Prix, and what a great show of skill from our race winners today.
Well, they clearly have a car that comes alive in the kind of conditions we were dealing with today. It's a very balanced package in the wet, and what that means is that the drivers have confidence to attack, and having that confidence gets you on the power earlier, it lets you brake later, and can put you a long way up the road.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.